All right, let's get into this. Start from the beginning. So, how to make your paid ads more effective. This is a very important video that can really help your business. So, let's get into it. So, first off, you can lower your cost per action. So, assuming you're optimizing for purchase, it is generally a good thing to have a lower cost per action. So there's several different ways you can do this. You can have better targeting or a better campaign setup. Um, you know, basically, just having your campaign set up properly, targeting the right countries, that sort of thing can help you to lower your CPA. If you're using, bad targeting, like maybe you're targeting really, really small audiences, for example, then you may see bad results and it may affect your CPA. So having the right targeting and having the proper campaign set up is one way you can lower your CPA. Now, other ways are you can have less campaigns with less audience overlap. So what this means is generally it is best practice to have less campaigns running at once. And of those campaigns that you have running, you don't want them to be running the same ads with the same budgets, with the same targeting. So, for example, if you're running a broad campaign on Facebook, you don't want another broad campaign to be running with those same ads at the same budget, with the same optimization goal. What that can do is it can create audience overlap, which can increase your overall CPA. So instead of, say, having two campaigns running at $50 a day, where it's running the same ads with the same budget, you would just up the budget on one of those campaigns so that it's only one ad set running at $100 a day or whatever, or one campaign running at $100 a day if you're running a CBO campaign. So having less campaigns with less audience overlap is generally going to benefit you. Another thing you can do is you can have better quality creatives. Now, this one can be one where it is very challenging to actually increase your results. If you're kind of getting the same results, it's going to be hard to just, if you're, say, making the ads yourself, increase your CPA a significant amount. If you're already spending a decent amount of money, like if you're already spending $5K, $10K a month on Facebook ads, and you're seeing, say, a $25 cost per purchase, it's going to be pretty challenging to get to a $20 cost per purchase. If you're doing the stuff yourself and you're not testing other variables. So, as for that next point, what you can do to actually lower that CPA and increase the quality of the creatives is you can test some of those variables. You can test different hooks, and you can test, different people in the ads. You can test a different setting of the ads. You can test a different style. A lot of these things that you can test are going to be difficult to actually test on your own. If you're just running the same types of ads, if you're shooting the same types of videos, chances are you're going to get very similar results. What I would suggest trying, if you're already seeing consistent sales, you're seeing some success, with your ads, but you're trying to get to that next level. You're trying to decrease that CPA so you can really see success from your ads. I would look for content creators or test, different settings on the video if you don't want to hire content creators. There's all kinds of variables you can test there. Increasing your conversion rate on your website is another way you can lower your CPA. You can do this by, doing things like speeding up your site, removing any of the distracting elements. If there's elements on your website that are distracting, that aren't really necessary, just take them off. You generally want a very focused website with very clear call to actions. They should be able to easily see where the add to cart button is. It should stand out on the website. And then you also want to answer any potential buyer objections in the site content. So another bonus to this is with your FAQ page, you want to actually add in those buyer objections, and you want to look at your competitors even, and look at the buyer objections that their competitors have had, and answer in your copy and in your messaging and your infographics and everything why your product is superior to that competitor's. you should address their buyer objections as well if you really want to increase your sales. Another one, increasing your AOV, launching new variations of a product. So this is a big one that can really drive your average order value. If say for example, let's just say you're going to go through McDonald's, but McDonald's doesn't have drinks; they only have McDoubles. Well, chances are you aren't going to spend nearly as much money. You might get a McDouble, but you're probably not going to go buy. You're not going to buy nearly as much as you would have spent had they had other options. Had they had those drinks and had they had the other stuff that you could choose from. So just by having different styles, by having different sizes of your product, like a 12 ounce and a 16 ounce and a 24 ounce, if say you're selling like a shaker bottle or something, just having different sizes would allow customers to spend more money. And AOV is an area where you can really increase your margins, because when customers are buying more units at once, you're not having to pay for shipping twice on the product. You're only having to pay for shipping once if they're buying multiple units. So generally, it's more cost effective to give them a discount and have them order multiple units versus just one unit. Adding an upsell, having a good upsell that you've tested and that works, having an offer that encourages customers to buy multiple units, like a buy two, get one, tiered discounts, quantity breaks, increasing your LTV. Now, this is an area that nobody really talks about unless they're charging thousands of dollars or it's in some kind of paid course or program. It's really information that could make you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, if you apply it correctly to your brand. A lot of times when you look at brands, most people aren't really getting this right. This is where most people just kind of fall short. So one thing you can do, you can start to incorporate SMS or email marketing for new product launches. You can do discounts occasionally, promotions, and just try to build a relationship with your customers. Strategic product launches whenever you do launch a new product. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with that. Product delivery, you can get the product. So basically, if you're trying to get them the product and you want them to actually come back and buy again, ideally, you want them to, one, get the product that they ordered, but also get it faster than they expect to get it. So, a lot of the drop shipping guys, they'll, basically lie about their shipping times, and they'll say, you can get it in 5 days because they think it helps with conversions. Well, then when the customer gets the product in 30 days, when it said 5, they're not going to be too happy and they're not likely to buy again. And they're probably going to tell people about the bad experience. So, that's not how you build a real brand. You need to transition away from that mindset if you want to build a real brand. So, that's another thing. You want to under-promise and over-deliver. So you don't want to over-promise and under-deliver. You want to under-promise and over-deliver. So if the product is, say, spill-proof, or let's just say it's waterproof, why do they call it water-resistant? Why do all these companies call their products water-resistant when it's actually waterproof, basically? The reason is, likely there are some legal aspects as to why they do this, but the reason is behind this a lot of times is because when you call it water resistant and it's actually waterproof, it builds this sort of reputation with those customers that you're not somebody who is going to be dishonest. You're not somebody who's going to lie to them or deceive them or tell them it is waterproof and then it actually ends up leaking or getting whatever it is wet. So you develop this sort of reputation when you have that level of honesty and transparency with your customers, and that alone is very valuable. You don't want your customers to think that you're deceiving them. You want to be completely honest with them and completely transparent with them and make sure your product is good quality. And you need to also, take the time once you can afford to, maybe, a lot of the smaller companies may not have a bunch of money, but as soon as you can afford to, you really need to invest in that overall customer experience. Having a nice like instruction guide in there, having a good quality product that's not going to break after a day, and that does what it says it's going to do. Having good quality packaging that really shows the product and that isn't confusing. Having all these little things really add to that customer experience to improve the overall customer experience. And even the website too, having an easy to use website can add to that experience. As far as branding, part two, really understand what it is that your brand represents. What are the core values of your brand? What is your brand identity? How does your logo tie into that brand identity? Having all this stuff mapped out to where you really understand it is going to help you in the long run. Building a social media presence and, figuring out how to gather attention across social media platforms and direct it towards your brand in a way that will help you. The really important one is knowing where you position yourself in the market. Are you the luxury option? Are you the premium or expensive option? Or are you going to be the cheapest option? So really, you want to avoid the cheap option. A guy named Andy Frisella talks about this. And, he basically says, you want to avoid being the cheap option because there's no brand loyalty there. So you want to avoid, in most cases, being the cheap option when doing your branding. So, let's talk about Toyota and how they built a successful car brand. So Toyota really isn't the luxury option in the car space, but they are a premium option. And what I mean by this is if you look at a lot of the cars that are on the market, Toyota is not the cheapest. Their cars are oftentimes not the cheapest option compared to other cars that are in its class. But what they did is very smart. So Toyota, rather than focusing on all the newest features and making their car appear to be good, they focused on the quality itself. They focused on the build quality and really giving it that premium feel. So rather than having cars that a lot of times handle really well but don't last very long, a lot of their cars are very good in terms of build quality, but they may not have all the newest features or the best handling. Which there may be some exceptions. There may be some kinds that do have really nice features, but overall, that's not their focus. Their focus was on having a good quality car that is designed to last. So their cars are known for lasting a very long time, for being very cheap to maintain, and overall just good vehicles. So if you see my point, Toyota didn't become Toyota because they knew how to run Facebook ads. Facebook ads or, Instagram ads, which would be, Meta ads or TikTok ads, all these different ad platforms are tools. They're tools to basically amplify your business model. And if you don't have the systems in place, it doesn't matter how good you are at running ads, because there will become a point in time where the cost to run these ads is going to get expensive. So it'll increase as you get into these higher budgets, basically. So as far as paid media goes, that's where a lot of people mess up. They think they're just going to run Facebook ads and become a millionaire, and then they don't spend any time focusing on the product. They don't spend any time focusing on the delivery or their branding or any of this other stuff. They're just focused on getting sales right then and there. So what happens is, as they start to increase the budget or the longer they run the ads, the cost to actually acquire the customers increases, and it goes up and up and up until eventually the business dies. So the lesson in all of this is, if you actually want to be successful, if you actually want to build something sustainable that will last, you have to reinvest into your quality. You have to make your product good for people to want to buy it and to want to market it for you, because that's where the power is. When you have people that will vouch behind your brand and market it for you, then you can really make some money. So anyways, that's it for now. If you liked the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, but that will be it for now.